sure somebody else would be willing to grab it if you need one. At school, I just voluntold people to do it. So. Oh, I guess I should get the clicker. So while I'm walking up here, I don't want to waste any of our precious time. Clicker. Who did their homework? Oh, okay. Got one person. One person did their homework? That's slightly better than school. Oh, got another one. Okay. Then let me rephrase it this way. Who was the target of someone else's homework? Anybody willing to admit it? Who was the target? Okay, got one. Got two. Got three. Okay. How did it feel for someone to compliment you sort of it wasn't necessarily out of the blue, but relatively out of the blue? Huh? It does. It feels great to get that compliment, right? I'm not going to lie. That is a great side effect of it. It makes you feel good. So guess what your homework is again, for those of you who didn't do it. Week's not over. You have plenty of time. And actually, there's a smaller group here, so you have less targets, so you don't have to worry about, like, who do I go talk to? You have too many compliments. You just got people you can focus on. So remember, your homework was to compliment a fellow member and tell them something good that you like about them. And it will feel weird. It will feel awkward. Erin's not here. Hope she's watching at home. But she's got a headache, so she's at home. We got in the car, and she said, that was sort of weird. I was like, well, it is. It will feel weird because we're not used to it. But once we get used to it, it will sort of help change our culture of who we are. Okay? I'm going to start with a word of prayer. Does somebody have the mic? John, are you back there? Nope, don't see it. Oh, Joey's got, hiding. There it is. Okay. But Joey's got the mic. If you got comments, this one's going to be one that I'm going to hopefully get people to talk to me. It is a Wednesday night, so you all have had all day to get energized and ready to go. And so we'll start with a prayer, and then we'll get right into it. So, dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this beautiful day you've given us. We thank you for the rain. We thank you for the beauty of your creation. We thank you for everything that we have from you. We hope that we are lights to you. We hope that as we study these words tonight, that we can see the lies that we face when it comes to our zeal and see how we can approach them and how we can overcome them. Be with those that are sick and those that are traveling and keep them safe. In Jesus' name pray, amen. So we got some younger friends with us. I'm trying to see our little babies and our 2 and 3 years olds. So they can talk. If they have good comments, just stick the mic in their face. That's good. So we are in a new section, and as I made my slides, I didn't put usually list out where we are. We are starting a new section tonight, okay? We are starting a section called Protect, okay? So what does it mean to protect? Okay, good use of the pro part. Get that in there again. So be proactive. To guard, yeah. So Davis started doing Taekwondo a while back, and I did that all the way until I was about 18 to 20. And so I started back, and it is a perfect reminder that I am older than I was when I stopped. When I spar some of these 18, 19, 20-year-olds, and I don't protect, I get popped in the head a lot. And so I have to proactively guard to make sure that's not going to happen. Yeah?
Shield, shelter, or to take responsibility for?
Yeah, shield, shelter, take responsibility for, or the trademark guide to guard and direct. Just leave the direct part off, guide and guard. Yeah. Okay. So protecting is what we're going to talk about. Protecting our zeal, protecting our loving kindness, protecting our ability to go out and do good things, and there's a lot to that. But tonight, the big thing is we're going to look at exposing Satan's lies, okay? And there's 6 of them. We're going to go through them relatively quickly. This is one of those, another one, you're going to find one of these that's going to stick to you. And you're going to be stuck on, when we're on 5 or 6, you're going to still be thinking about 2. And that's a good thing because it's what you probably need to know. Because what? I've said it every class, I'll keep saying it. The first step in having a problem is what? Admitting you have it. You can't fix a problem you don't think you have. So, we'll go on from there. Anybody want anything to add before we go? I like that I have the mic. I'm losing my voice for the second time. Believe it or not, I have to raise my voice to middle schoolers just a little bit every so often. And so I'm losing it. I'm going to try to go, but it should be good. So we got 2 goals. First one, we're going to try to understand the 6 big lies that Satan uses on us. And we're going to recognize those lies in our lives. That is our goal. The first one, we can understand these lies all we want, but if we don't see them in our lives, it doesn't do us any good to learn them, right? This is an application lesson. This is a lesson that we want to be able to take into us and say, you know what? This lie right here, number 2, I keep picking on number 2 because it's the one that gave me the most trouble in making my outline. Number 2 is something that I need to deal with, okay? So when we say Satan's lies, we mean some guy's going to show up with a pitchfork and horns and a little goatee, and he's all red and he's wearing pajamas, and he's going to tell you this straight to your face, right? Right? No, we don't mean that. What we mean by this is you are going to hear these from the world. You're going to hear these from your brethren. You are going to hear these from your people, your family. You're going to hear them from yourself, okay? And this is something we need to be able to understand and deal with among ourselves. Sometimes we will hear these lies from places that we trust. And you got to be able to see that for what it is, okay? Or we may hear these from what we think are solid sources, and we need to be able to notice it and see it for what it is, okay? I'm not calling anybody a liar. Just want to make sure everybody gets that. So, yeah, I'll get you since I'm closer. Sorry. No, you're good. I need to walk. Don't tell Matt I did that.
You know, part of this is discrediting who we are in order to discredit our zeal. And others may do that for us. Others may discredit us in doubting our sincerity, doubting our study of the scriptures. And sometimes we can do it to ourselves too. So others may say, well, what's your interest in this? Why are you really doing this? What's your hidden agenda? And what's your motivation in this? What are you trying to really do? And sometimes we can feel like maybe we're too old. Maybe we can feel like we're out of place. And we can deceive ourselves too.
True. And yeah, and that's part of it. Sorry, I got to clip it back on. If you have ever received counseling for anxiety, one of the things they talk about is those stories you tell yourself. And has anybody had those stories that you tell yourself and it's about 10 times worse than the actual story? Because you tell yourself that story and you keep going through those stories over and over again, and you are your own worst enemy at that point, right? Because you're making it 10 times bigger than it really is, and you're making that mountain out of a molehill. Does that make sense? And that goes perfectly along with that. So that's one of the things we're going to talk about that quite a bit. Is a lot of these lies are lies that we sometimes tell ourselves. I'm going to be honest, a lot of them are ones we tell ourselves. So let's jump right in. So lie number 1, zeal is about what's new. Okay? Zeal is about what's new. I call it the shiny new syndrome. Okay? If you have ever worked in a school or with small children or been around small children, you know that everything's cool until something else is cooler, right? And it amazes me because like when I started teaching 15 years ago, something was cool pretty much the whole year, and it stayed that way. Now this year, it's like it's cool for about 2-3 weeks, and then it goes away and it's replaced by something else even faster, right? And it's 2-3 weeks. And we can do this with our zeal, okay? The shiny new syndrome is when you look at something and you see it and you're like, ooh, this is really cool. And you throw yourself at it and you are zealous about it and you're doing it until it's not the shiny new thing and you go, ooh, shiny, right? Or if my mom makes a joke all the time, squirrel. Like you get distracted by something new and cute and fluffy and you go after that instead of what you were really focusing on. So Acts 17:21, let's take a look at that real quick. This is a big one for me. and we'll talk about it here in a second. Acts 17:21. Little context. Our buddy Paul is in Athens, and he's about to do one of my favorite sermons when he gets up and talks to everybody, right? So this is just a little how many of y'all is in parentheses? Somebody says in parentheses, or it's in brackets or whatever. No, parentheses. Sorry, brackets. So it's in the brackets, right? So it's just giving us a little footnote. It's telling us a little about it. It says, now all the Athenians and the strangers visiting there used to spend their time in nothing other than telling or hearing something new. Telling or hearing something new. So hey, how about this new idea? How about that new idea? Because they didn't have the Twitter or the Facebook in order to share themselves out there as fast as they wanted to. So they had the forum, right? They'd all go to the forum, and they would do nothing but talk about what's new. And there are other sources, historical sources, that will talk about, there'll be letters between Athenians, and one of them talks about how the other guy's ideas are so out of date because they were discussed 6 weeks ago. I can't believe he brought up an idea from 6 weeks ago in this discussion we had when there's these new ideas. So it is totally a thing, right? And it can happen to us too. We can get so wrapped up in the new initiatives that we want to run that we forget about the things that we're already doing very, very well at, okay? I even have the text up there. So, who has a problem with this one? That you've been doing this good work, this service that you've been working, and you've been doing it for 2, 3, 4 years, and it's doing well. You're seeing benefits, but something else pops up, and you go, ooh, let's try this. I'll be honest, one for me, the nursing home visits, when we did the singings and the little short talks over there, that was great. Loved doing it. It was a really good chance to get out and spend some time with some people who don't get a lot of visits. But once we've done it for a couple times, the new shiny wears off, right? And it's hard because you do that. So that's a lie we get told, that we have to be doing new, interesting stuff in order to be staying zealous. When sometimes, and I'll be honest, and James will tell you this, I am not a traditionalist. Okay, if the worst language in the world to me in an organization is, well, we've always done it that way, without a reason. And somebody who says, well, why don't we change and try something new? Because it's always been this way, right? So this is a hard one for me, because I like to try new shiny things, and I get really easily distracted by those new shiny things. So I'll admit to this one. Anybody issues, thoughts, comments? So nobody else has this problem? Great, I'm alone. Thanks, guys. Yeah. It is discouraging when you realize that you do it, because what you realize is that you've been doing it for your whole life, and you start to feel bad about all those missed opportunities. But what did we say about missed opportunities last week? They're in the past, right? The great philosopher, Warthog, Pumbaa, said, put your past behind you. And they sing the Hakuna Matata song. Yeah, we're not going to sing that. But okay, line number 2, since nobody wants to comment on this one. Line number 2 is, zeal is measured by the sins we avoid. And so all these, I've gave them like little subtitles. This one is actually I'm going to get to the subtitle in a second, apparently. It's James 2, 15 through 17. Let's look at that. That's our text that we're going to sort of think about with this one. What good is it, my brothers and sisters, if someone claims to have faith but has no deeds? Can such faith save them? Suppose a brother or a sister is without clothes and daily food. If one of you says to them, go in peace, keep warm and well fed, but does nothing about their physical needs, what good is it? In the same way, faith by itself, if it is not accompanied by action, is dead. And this is a hard one for me, because it's the action, right? It's the action part. Because we can be really, really zealous and excited to do stuff and still not do stuff, right? Does anybody have that one? Had that problem where you're like, ooh, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this, and then when it comes time, nothing happens. Or you have something else that you do, okay? So zeal is measured by the sins we avoid. Make sure I got a point I want to, okay. The author, Mr. Shoemake, does a good job. He talks about when we hear about good churches in the New Testament, what is it almost always accompanied by? A list of the things they are doing, right? All the churches, all the good examples of churches in Revelation, they're all doing something. They're all active. They are doing, right? And so the list he gives, they do sing praises to God. They do visit from house to house. They do give generously from one another. They do share the good news about salvation. They do serve God with zeal each day. It doesn't say, hey, you look at this church, the church in Thessalonica, they were great because they didn't do drugs and they didn't worship idols and they didn't do this. And it's really easy to become identified by the things we don't do, when the biblical advantage is that the things we should be identified by are the things that we do, right? And so this can be a hard one too. Buddy, comments? Yeah, oh, you got a no over here. I'd race you, but you'd win.
I was just going to say, this one kind of hit me square in the chest. I grew up as a preacher's kid, so there were a lot of things I didn't do growing up, and I was very proud of that for the longest time. I was perfect in all these areas, and then you go to college, and then you start realizing that wasn't really because of the great faith that I built around myself or the zeal that I had. It was because of lack of opportunity in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And so whenever you get into the world and you start realizing, like, oh, now I am really tested, then you realize your zeal isn't quite what you thought it was.
Yeah, and that's what I've talked about with the young people is some of the ones that don't ever have to test themselves, when they actually do hit a test, they just crumble because they never really had to face anything hard. And now I'm not saying we should throw our kids into the deep end without any like life swimmies or life preservers or anything. But sometimes kids need to face hard things. So when they do face hard things, and they need to face a little less hard things, so when they do face big hard things, it's not nearly as scary and life-shattering as it can be. So yeah, this is hard. And this is one also that as I was reading it, he talks about we don't use instrumental music. How many times whenever you've told somebody about your church, they're like, well, what's your church like? And the first thing you say is, well, we don't use instruments. I've had that conversation several times. And then, well, we don't have a gym, or we don't have this. And you go, and when you really think about it, you're really describing us by the don'ts instead of the do's. When really, we do have amazing worship. We do have people who truly love and care for everybody in this room, right? And it's we like to label ourselves by the don'ts instead of the do's. Okay? Thank you, Noah. Appreciate that. You could have let him comment too. I saw him reaching for the mic. So, okay, line number 3. By the way, I did go through my titles and make sure my titles matched where we were. That was thoroughly embarrassing to me last week. Zeal is at its best at the beginning. This one is, I probably read this section 2 or 3 or 4 times just this afternoon trying to figure out a good way to explain it, and that I couldn't come up with a good one. So if y'all got any input on this one, feel free. Okay, I'm more than willing to let you pontificate for a moment with me. But it's all about the refinement of zeal over a lifetime. So we look back at the early times of being a Christian, and it's always seems like it was the best, doesn't it? Because you were fresh, you were new, you were excited, you were ready to go, and then you realize that you have to deal with difficult things, and you start to question yourself, right? You start to say, ooh, do I know enough to form a thought or a belief about, I don't know, I'm trying to think of a big word, and I can't even think of a big word that's sort of scary. Are we ready to do that? And so that's sort of what he's getting at here, is that this lie tells us that it is better to stay shallow and easy and not challenge things because we don't want to be divisive, when we should, as we mature, be zealous about learning and embracing truth and helping others see truth through the gospel. Was that a hand up or a? Yeah. Got it. Ooh, too much.
Yeah, the sad part about that is it makes you think that the best time for anything is when you know the least about it.
Yeah.
And
Ignorance is bliss.
when in reality, as you grow to understand and appreciate what you have in Christ, what it means to be saved, what it means to be a Christian, what it means to be a member of His church, that should grow greater or increase your desire to serve Him and your zeal to be a representative of who He is. But if we think that, well, it'll never get better, it must get better because we must grow, we must improve. And that, I think that's really what he's talking about there.
I agree. And as you said that, something that came to mind for me is, what is more beautiful? A person who is a Christian, who is fresh out walking here, getting hugged by everybody, told, welcome, we love you, we're happy you're here, or that Christian who's been a Christian for 70 years and been through a horrible, terrible time in their lives and is still zealous and excited to work. That, I'll be honest, that zeal is very easy. Fresh zeal is very easy. 70-year-old aged zeal is very hard. Does that make sense? See what he's getting at? And I think also he's going back to the verse in Ecclesiastes. Woe to you who say, I long for the good days. Every day is good. Go out and do it. No, don't worry about everything in the past because it's still there. And that throws back. Hindsight's 20/20. It's really easy to look back at our zeal when we were young and excited and fresh and say, man, that was so much easier because now we can see all the extra stuff. So, and Peter is the example he uses here. Peter, even in the garden, was a fresh, still fresh in our terms. We'd still call him a fresh convert in our terms. And so, but what did he do? He rebukes Christ, and Christ rebukes him right back. And then he physically attacks a guy and cuts his ear off, even when Jesus already said that's not how this is going to go. And then he denies Christ, right? And so even when he was new and excited, he lacked the wisdom. Remember, man, it feels like 6 months ago, we talked about zeal without wisdom is dangerous. Perfect example. He was super excited, but man, was he doing things wrong, right? And so I think that's the same way here. We should see that our zeal as we get older is tempered, and as we learn, it's more exciting. It should be not easier to go on, but it should be like a solid core for us. Any questions, points on that one? Anybody? I appreciate the comments, by the way. So, number 4, zeal is evaluated by judging others. And this subtitle, James says, just skip this one. We don't want to talk about this one. This subtitle is my favorite. It's "At least I don't." If you ever have to start a sentence with "at least I don't," whatever is coming after that is probably not a good statement. It is probably you admitting to something that you probably shouldn't be doing. Okay? Or if you're prefacing that, right? That whatever you said before that is probably something you should be looking into and researching a bit for yourself and studying about for yourself. Because if we have to rationalize our actions and our behaviors by looking at somebody else, your actions and behaviors probably aren't all kosher to begin with. How many of y'all, before you even get into the discussion part, how many of y'all think this is a hard one? Everybody, yeah, I would say, y'all better raise your hands or I'm going to call you liars. I'll say, at least I'm not lying like y'all, but no. This is one of those that is, I think this is a perennial human problem. Because it's really easy for us to look at somebody who we deem as either beneath us or not as good as us and say, whew, at least I'm not that guy, right? Somebody always told me that when I lived in Indiana, they'd say, well, Kentucky's motto was, at least we're not Mississippi. Sorry, I know, It's terrible. So, and then the Mississippi part, I knew a guy from Mississippi said, well, at least we're not Louisiana. And it just sort of continues itself until you run out of states. So the at least I don'ts are dangerous. If you catch yourself saying that, pause and say, why am I doing this? Because it is a problem, and it is something that will lead you to very destructive thinking, and it can get seated in your brain really quick. So, it is defensive. It is very defensive. It is not a proactive use of preparing. It is a defense. You're right. It's a defense, and it's not necessarily a good defense either. Okay. So Luke 18:11. What is it before we go there? Does anybody know? I mean, sometimes when you sit in the audience, you like to guess. Oh, he's going to use this verse to make this point. So what story is it? Y'all got to know. Come on, people. Pharisees. Well, you can. Which Pharisee though? There's a bunch of them. So Luke 18:11. So the title, Ryan knows I always ask the kids, what's your subtitles? Mine says the Pharisee and the tax collector. Anybody else have any other subheading besides Pharisee and tax collector? So it says, now, I'm going to start in 9. Now he also told us this parable to some people who trusted in themselves and that they were righteous and viewed others with contempt. 2 men went up to the temple to pray, one a Pharisee and the other a tax collector. The Pharisee stood up and began praying this in regard to himself. God, I thank you that I am not like other people, swindlers, crooked, adulterers, or even like this tax collector. And I can just see him sort of that guy, right? I fast twice a week, I pay tithes of all I get, but the tax collector, standing in the distance away, was even unwilling to raise his eyes towards heaven, but he was beating his chest, saying, God, be merciful to me, the sinner. I tell you, this man went to his house justified rather than the other one, for anyone who exalts himself will be humbled, but the one who humbles himself will be exalted. So, this is really easy to do. On a congregational level, on a group level, on a personal level, it is very easy to compare yourself to other people and say, at least I'm not. And it is a lie that Satan wants us to believe, that we are better because we can judge ourselves better. At least I'm not out smoking crack every weekend. Whew. If that's your like level of where you want to be above, we need to talk about goals. So we can go back to our goal lesson, right? At least we don't spend our money on XYZ like that congregation. Okay? This one, number 1 and number 4, number 4 sort of merge together. Phoebe's got a point. We'll get her in a second. Don't take it to her. And this is hard because as humans, we compare. And don't tell me you don't, because we do. Every one of us compares, and we look at other people and we think either we put them above us or we put them below us. Very rarely in these studies that you can look at do people rank people as equal to themselves. They almost always put them above or below. And we do that. And when we evaluate our zeal by judging the others, you know what? My zeal is only about this big, but I know a guy whose zeal is only about that big, so I'm doing okay. Look how much bigger that is, right? Where this ain't nothing to sniff at, but it makes you feel better, right? And so that's hard. That's really hard. And the parable here really drives that home. And he even says, this guy went home justified, the other guy, nothing. So that should scare us a little bit, okay? Any questions, comments? This is a hard one. And this is one that I was hoping somebody would have something to say, but if you don't, it's okay. Oh, Stephen's got something over here.
You may have said this, but I wanted to highlight it if you didn't. We do have a problem of looking down on other people and building ourselves up. Doing that, that's a human condition, a sinful nature sort of thing. But you can also be crushed looking upward, looking at people who you feel have a tremendous amount of talent or zeal or knowledge or wisdom or whatever it is. You can look up at them and say, well, I'll never be like that, and bury your talent. That can be a problem as well.
Yeah, and that is like as you're mentoring younger members, that's really that is something that it is good for them to see that you are also a work in progress, that they will mess up and so will you, and it's all in how we handle those mess ups, right? The saying that I've always heard, a master at anything has failed more than an apprentice has tried, right? And so it's hard, and it's that social media thing. When you look, everybody posts their highlight reels, and we compare ourselves to everybody else's highlight reels when we're seeing every ounce of footage we watch, right? Our football coach the other day caught our team watching the other team's highlight reels. And he said, you just watched 12 minutes of their best plays ever, and all it did was scare you. You didn't watch the 3 hours of footage where they're fumbling and missing passes and messing up on blocks and doing this. And you would have noticed they're just where we are. So I'll give you a hint. And this is just my suggestion. I tried to quit Facebook a long time ago, and it's not easy to do because it's addictive. It's made to be addictive. If you're ever scrolling through that and you feel bad about yourself, delete it. Get rid of it off of your phone. Do it on your computer. I still stay in contact with people from school, so that's what I like for now. But take it off of your phone where it's not right in your face, because all you're seeing is the best parts of people's lives, and it's going to make you feel bad because you see every part. And it's not worth it. That's why I have a friend that really likes Twitter better. He said you can't really talk about just the good stuff in 144 characters or whatever it is, 288 now. But yeah, so definitely Zeal is definitely not going to be good when we evaluate with ourselves. Also up and down. I appreciate you pointing that out. Anybody? Ideas about this? Yeah, at least I don't. Man, teaching middle schoolers, I hear that every day. Did you copy and paste that? Yep. But at least I didn't just not do it. I'm like, oh, you might as well not do it. You just clicked 3 buttons and it was there. You didn't learn anything. So this is a hard one, and this is a hard one personally, and I think this is the one of the 6 that should pop out at most of us. Okay, lie number 5. Zeal is too fragile to last. And so when I first read this title, I was trying to predict where he's going to go with it. And he sort of curves it a little bit, right? And when we get told this, we will be told that I thought it was going to be about us. But he really talks mostly about when we see other people mess up, right? And that is hard. We will get told and we will be faced with evidence that might or might not support this on the surface, that zeal is too fragile to last. That's a lie we're going to face a whole bunch, okay? So, people will fail. That is a reality that we need to face together as people, so that when we do fail, what can we do? Can you hear what's that? Learn. And not just learn. I hope that if you see me fail, oops, sorry, for the people at home, didn't mean to smack the mic. I hope that if you see me fail, you, instead of being like, at least I didn't do that, would come over and say, I see you struggling, what can I do to help? Okay? Because that's also something about complimenting each other. If you can compliment somebody, you can also go and to them and say, hey, this ain't gonna be a compliment, but I want to help. Were you pointing at somebody? Oh, there you go, Carrie, right there.
I think we are to blame in that a little bit, because we are also very defensive as a society.
Yeah.
And very independent. We have gone away from a society that worked together and truly helped each other. We don't go build each other's barns anymore. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so we have a habit of, I just failed, and we shut down, and we don't ask for help, and we don't seek out help, and we don't let people who come to help us a lot of times.
Because we feel really silly when we do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that can help kind of take our zeal down a little.
It does, because that rugged individualism that we always hear about, the spirit of the pioneers. And I had a history teacher in high school who talked about rugged individualism, and he said that's it's an oxymoron, because individuals in pioneer times were dead. They just didn't live because they couldn't live without the support of the people around them. And we get like that too. We want to be so independent and we don't need nobody's help. We're just as good as we are because we'll do this. And it sort of hurts us a little bit if somebody comes and says, hey, I noticed this. Okay, and like I said earlier, there are probably 6 of you that I wouldn't be super defensive if you tried that or did that. But like, it would be hard to hear it, but I hope I would be able to step back and be like, no, I need to hear this. Just make it quick, right? Rip off the Band-Aid. Because it is, you're right. We are getting away from where we can't talk to each other. It's almost that we can't compliment each other, because somebody would be like, well, what do they mean by that? And why didn't they say that earlier? Yeah, go ahead.
Kind of a corollary to that, my dad used to have a saying about people becoming Christians, new Christians, and they're zealous and they're active and they're enthusiastic. And he says, well, that won't last long. The brethren will throw a wet blanket over it and put him out.
Yeah.
And we do that.
Yeah, we do. Somebody brings you a good idea, and how many of y'all have heard a good idea from a newer Christian or a new member, and you're like, we don't do it that way. Now, don't get me wrong. If it is a scriptural thing that they're trying to change, it is our job to be like, hey, scripturally, here's where we're at on that. But if it's just an idea about, you know what, how do we make our classes a little more engaging? How do we make our youth classes how do we do this, how do we do that? We should be like, that's an interesting idea. Let's talk about it. Because as soon as you're like, that's dumb, we've never done it that way before, it kills it. And the quickest way to shut somebody down is to make them feel stupid. And you may not even know you're doing it. And it's really rough on the person who's receiving that, okay? So we will fail, and we need to be at a spot where we understand that when we see that from the outside, we cannot accept that as, well, everybody's going to do that, right? That's the number one reason people say they don't go to church. Everybody there is hypocrites. They're all sinners. You're right. They are. But they're doing what they need to do to try to fix that, and they're trying to avoid it where you're just rolling in it, right? And that's hard to accept. I wouldn't suggest saying that to somebody. But sometimes you have to admit, yeah, you know what? Everybody in this church is a sinner. And the reality of it is, we are all going to fail, and we're all going to mess up, but it's not the failure that defines us. It is the response to the failure, right? And so this is a hard one. John's got I like that you guys are talking. It's nice.
A lot of the comments have made me think about my generation is kind of the meme generation.
Yeah.
It's all about gotcha moments, and you find something wrong with somebody, you make fun of it, you point it out, and you blast it across the news. And I think that really contributes to this, because you're afraid to do anything because you're afraid you're going to be caught and made fun of and ridiculed. And I know with myself what I've realized, I've come to realize this recently, and I think the solution is to give more grace and be merciful to people. And even when you have the opportunities to point things out and make fun of them, realize that everyone's a human and that we all make mistakes.
Yeah.
So.
And that's a really good point. And it is that fear of the gotcha moment. You don't want to feel like either A, you are precipitating that on somebody, or B, you are being the one that's being gotcha'd. And that's bad. So Galatians 6:9 through 10. I cannot read it from back there, so I can turn right here. So let us not be weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. Therefore, as we have opportunity, let us do good to all people, and especially those who belong to the family of believers. And I love this verse because it says, it works. Do good to all people. But not just that, especially to those who belong to the family of believers. Okay? All people. That's not all people who agree with you. That's not all people who look like you. All people who live in the same country as you. All people who pulled the same lever as you in November. It is all people. Okay, there is no asterisk there with a footnote of who you don't have to be nice to and do good for. Okay? And every other time we're told to do good in service to people, we are told, oh, got one over here. We are told what? That just do good. Do good things. Do good things. Do good. Do good. Okay? And don't expect what in return? That's the point I was getting ready to make. Anything. Right? If I do something good for James, it's not because I'm hoping that he's going to do good for me. If I do good for Carrie, it's not because I hope she's going to go help me raise a barn. Right? By the way, I remember that. So I need a shed. I'm going to come talk to you. It is because we are doing good because that is what we do and because what we're asked to do. Yeah, go ahead.
Kind of springboarding off of what John said. I love the verse where it's like we're walking with God. We're walking with him just like children. Take one step and fall on their face. And then the next time they take 2 steps and then 3 steps, that's the life of a Christian. The
Yes.
thing is that we're walking in the light. It doesn't say we're perfect in the light.
Yeah.
We're walking with God, but we're on the pathway that leads us to God. Even though we fall, we still get up.
Excellent point.
And not just give up and say, I can't do it anymore.
Yeah. Because this lie is dangerous to every age of Christian. You can think, I've tried a young Christian, you know what? I just got that wet blanket thrown on me. Why bother? Or an older Christian, I've tried for so long, and this is the thanks I'm getting and the response I'm getting. Why bother? It can happen to anybody at any age, and it can sneak up on you. That's what's dangerous about this one. Number 6, zeal alone is enough. Hopefully we have covered this enough to know that the lesson we talked about a couple weeks back, zeal without wisdom is dangerous. It is not just to say, you know what, I'm excited. I love this stuff. I'm all about Jesus. I'm all about God. Yay, God. Okay, what are you doing to show it? Okay, like I said a couple weeks back, the trainer that we had right before school started said, I cannot hear, I hear what you're saying, but your actions are totally drowning it out. I can't hear you over the volume of your actions. So you can say a lot of stuff, and you can be zealous, and you can be excited, but if you're excited without knowledge, or without service, or you're excited without wisdom, you might as well just be excited that you found a cookie, because that's about the equality the thing that you're going to have, right? There's just no, what's that? I couldn't hear you. Yeah, I like cookies, but that cookie is about as good as your zeal without knowledge or wisdom or faith or any of the other stuff that you're supposed to put with it. Not yet. So the way he puts it, and this is the best way I could think of, is zeal without salvation is useless. You can be excited, but if you don't have the knowledge or the wisdom or the salvation that goes along with it, why bother? Okay? So you need more than just zeal. So let's look at our reflection. This is your car conversation along with your homework to get your compliments in the way. Come on, people. Which lie is the one that gets to you? Which one of these, as we talked about, you're like, yup, that's me? Or which one do you feel less affected by? Because there are some people that some of these lies, they understand that it's a lie inherently, and it's just in how their brain works that they know. Like for me, I think the failure part, I get that. I work with failure so much at school that it doesn't affect me as much as somebody who doesn't really deal with failure a lot, right? I know failure is okay as long as you get up and try again. And I get that. But if you don't work with a lot of failure, it's rough. Anybody ever had a friend that's never failed at anything and they fail at something and they just crumble? It's sort of scary to watch. Sometimes I'm the first teacher to give a kid a B, and it's like their life is going to end, right? Actually, they earned a B. I don't give grades. They earn. I said that backwards. So James held up number 1. So is it number 1 that you're not affected by, or that you think, what's that? 4 is a hard one, yeah. And this is, I got just a second. That's hard because of, I believe, how we define ourselves as Church of Christ. We have that list of things that we don't do, and at least we don't have a choir, and at least we don't have baptismal pool parties, and at least we don't whatever, have guys in funny hats handing out crackers. We do that, right? And it's hard to get away from. Anybody else before we get out of here? Okay, so LR's taking over for the Wednesday. When's our meeting? A couple more weeks? It's Sunday? No, sorry. LR's taking over on lesson 14 on Sunday and Wednesday, and then whenever our meeting is, we'll stop, and then we'll pick back up, and then we'll be on our rotation changes. Instead of being Sunday, Wednesday, we'll be Wednesday, Sunday, just the way that it falls. So, anybody questions, comments before we go? Thank you, guys. Do your homework. Compliment people. You can do more than 2. It's okay.